Rotumans are always on time. That's it. No, we don't.
Noia e Māori o Toasa le Kepieri Samisoni ngau whāne i tumuta.
Noia o Toasa le Philomena Delay ngau hene tutu ma pepche.
Noia o Toasa le Wilson Fuata ngau whāne Saule ma tutu.
Noia e Māori o Toasa le Tahina ngau hen le Losa tutu ma Savle.
Noia e Māori o Toasa le Nathaniela Matoali. Ngō whane Lopta o Inafa, Savle i Tuitita, Whan mo chia e Malha, ma Uchia e Pepche, ma Kolofo o e Tonga te Pepe. Ngō whau Whurunghul, ma ngō Haisawang la Rerak, o Sfeang Rotomte e Nisirangi, Haisawangan Kautoni ang Rotoma Frauta. La rakek ni os Fãiåk Rotuman te Nisirangi.
No, we definitely don't. No.
Not that you know of.
Not that we know, but no.
We do. Back in the day. No, we don't. We don't, except I have a cousin that lives in Rotorua and she's Rotuman.
That's the only connection.
Maybe 2 cousins.
Absolutely not. No connection whatsoever.
You say you don't have family living in Rotorua?
We got the same cousins.
Do we have the same cousins? We have the same cousins living in Rotorua. That's about it.
Rotorua, no.
No, not in the old days. We don't have any connections with Rotorua. But we do have more modern connections with Rotorua. The contingent that came from Fiji for the Pacific Arts Festival, I think in the 1970s, they were billeted in Rotorua. The Rotuman contingent was billeted along with the Fijians at a marae in Rotoiti. So yeah, we do have modern connections with them. My grandmother was part of that contingent as well. We don't have any connections with the town of Rotuma. That's just down the line from Auckland.
Ooh. Maybe someone else can answer that question.
Was there even a beef at all?
It's called beef.
I don't think so. Not that I know of as well.
Well, there's none. I'm half Fijian, half I was gonna say half Māori. I'm half Fijian, half Rotuman. So obviously no beef, all love.
There is no beef, not that I know of. We both have corned beef, but no, I've never heard of beef between Rotumans and Fijians.
I know that there's casual positive beef, like we mock each other each for what our culture represents.
I wouldn't call it beef, probably call it banter. There's a joking relationship, what the Fijians sometimes call tauvu. It is a relationship between different provinces, and some provinces in Fiji have that relationship with Rotuma, where they can joke around with us. I think that, it's just all harmless banter most of the time, nothing serious. I mean, we threw in our lot with them after we ceded to Great Britain, and we threw in our lot with them again when they asked for independence, and we're still with them. So, yeah, no serious beef. Bisquete. Bisquete translates as biscuit, and either way, Rotumans have been called biscuit in Fiji for a very long time.
Alright, so one day Kepi's uncle went out. They just really like biscuits, and apparently there's a story that they started to plant it in hopes to get some more because we live really far away from Fiji, like far, 3 days boat ride away.
Oh my gosh, okay, so it's been said that our ancestors tried to plant biscuits.
Some people in Rotuma really love biscuits, and they try to plant it to grow a biscuit tree. So that's why everyone calls us bisquete. Yeah, I don't know what flavors, like Oreo or...
Some sort of biscuit, and then somehow it just happened to be the FMF biscuit that they sell in shops now. So we're known to be called biscuities.
It comes from a story back in the day, probably the early colonial days, where a certain man from Rotuman visited Fiji, I think, or tasted biscuits, cabin crackers, to be specific, for the first time, and he loved the taste of it. And when he asked the Palangi storekeeper, he asked him, "Oh, where's this from?" And the Palangi obviously answered, "Oh, from flour." So what's flour? And so it's from wheat, it's a plant. And knowing that it was a plant, he's like, "Oh, this must be the seed of the plant that I know. So I can probably plant this and get more of these." So he went back to the island, planted it, and waited, made a huge mound just like you would a yam mound, and waited, and it never grew. But yeah, I think it got back to Fiji when somebody visited and asked him, "What are you planting?" And he said, "Oh, it's bisquete." And needless to say, Rotumans have been plagued with that nickname since then. So that's the story, that's the version of the story that I know, mainly because it's our ancestors who did that, my particular ancestors.
We have some ancestry and some history to do with Tonga. I believe that's what I've learned from my grandma, who has some Tongan descent. So I would believe so, yeah.
We get... No, we don't. No, we're not. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Better looking Tongans. I would say.
Wow, there's gonna be a fat laugh coming from the background.
I think we're more Samoan than we are Tongan. Was that serious? No, yeah, and like on the map we're closer to Samoan, so and we do have a lot of history that kind of goes back to Samoan, so maybe more Samoan than Tongan.
Some will argue that they are, but we're a mix of things. The early people were Austronesians, I think that's what they call them. But after that came waves of invaders, migration waves from Tonga and Samoa. So one of our paramount chiefs, actually the paramount chief on the island, is called Marafu, which is a title that we got from Ma'afu in Tonga. Another one is Tokaniua, which I understand it means something in Tongan, which is probably from Niua in Tonga. And we have other invaders who came from the Gilbert Islands. Yeah, so everybody came. It was a crossroads of sorts, so we have a mix of everybody.
Rotumans are always on time. That's it. No, we don't. The difference.
Yeah, so different cultures, different languages, completely different. But Rotuma is so small that it comes under the Fijian government, I believe.
So it's like
It kind of depends on Fiji because it's so small. It's like half the size of Waiheke.
I feel like Rotumans are a bit more shy and quieter in some sense outside of our culture, and Fijians are a lot louder, but in a good way, in a confident way. I feel like our culture is very what would you call it? A bit more, I don't know, just very quiet. I just can't think of any words right now. But yeah.
Because I'm Fijian, I didn't practice a lot of the Fijian traditional stuff. I was just Fijian. But like with Rotuman, I practiced a lot of it. I think in Fiji, there's not much need to keep up the culture or like showcase it and stuff. But Rotumans in Fiji always do that. They always, because they're out of their island, that they're always like trying to celebrate it and trying to, like, we have Rotuma Day celebrations, like a whole day of just performances and stuff. But for Fijian cultures, like, there isn't like just a day where everyone does like the mekes or like from different villages and stuff. I guess it's harder too because it's bigger, but yeah, I don't know. They're very different from each other, but my answer is useless.
Well, Rotumans actually come from Rotuma, and Fijians come from Fiji.
So it's basically just two islands next to each other, and we're like a family.
So there's no beef.
Yeah, so there's no beef. I hope.
The main difference would, apart from appearance, would probably be our culture. Rotumans are Polynesians culturally, so we have a very Polynesian structure, and our language is very different from theirs. Having said that, the Fijians also have a very Polynesian structure as well. So, over the years we've become so intertwined with each other that the differences are very few and far between. It's the main things like our language is different, our cultures are very different, and the way we see things as well sometimes is very different.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think each language kind of incorporates Rotuman. So like Māori, Samoan, like words are similar to Rotuman, but I don't think we have like just one straight language that's similar.
Korean.
That's interesting.
From what I've heard, nothing really. I mean, you have words, all the similar stem words that all the languages share, but other than that, it's really hard to learn because I know I'm fluent in Fijian, and there's like no connection, like some, but they're like transliterations and stuff. But yeah, I think it's very unique in that sense. I mean, we heard today there's like a million ways to say A, so yeah, it's unique.
I feel like we have a bit of mix of everything. Some of our numbers, maybe colours kind of seem similar to Fijian language or even Māori language sometimes.
Rotuman language is quite unique, and it's actually quite complicated. So I don't know any language that's quite similar. Like we have the vowels, there's like 30 different variations to pronounce. So it's kind of crazy.
The closest language to Rotuman. In terms of geography, Fiji is closest to us. Well, actually no, Tuvalu and Tokelau are closest to us. But in terms of the actual language, I'd probably say Micronesian. Because we have a similar way of pronouncing words that Tongan, Samoan, Fijian and the other languages don't. We finish words with consonants. And the Micronesians do the same. So langi, which is used in Tonga, Samoa and elsewhere, we can say lang. Yeah, which sounds utterly wrong to the other languages. But yeah, closest would probably be Micronesian, I think.
It's different. Well, I was born in Fiji, so I came when I was 11. The culture, it's just, I'm proud to be a Rotuman. It's just trying to get out there in New Zealand with the Rotuman language and culture, trying to showcase our beautiful island and culture and language to everyone here in New Zealand.
It's challenging. Back in Fiji, I was just like Fijian. I knew I was Rotuman, but like we didn't do anything about it until we came out here and then realized like, it really enhances your want to like show people where you're from and who you are. So if anything, it made me more of a Rotuman being in New Zealand.
Like I said, Rotuma is quite small, so there's like not many of us. Population on the island maybe about like 2,000, something like that. So even less in New Zealand. So it's just, I guess, trying to walk both ways, like living in New Zealand and being a Rotuman. So yeah, but it's kind of cool, like being unique, I guess.
It's made me appreciate my culture more because we're a minority in this country. Also, we're in the top 10 endangered language list of the UN. So it's definitely made us learn more of our culture. I'd say I've learned more about Rotuma here than I ever did in Fiji. Yeah.
It's interesting to be almost anonymous in New Zealand. I say this because when you come from Fiji, a place in Fiji, like Fiji, where we're the second indigenous group, everybody knows who or what a Rotuman is, where Rotuma is, what our favorite dishes are, popular dishes are. Everybody knows what you come to New Zealand, you tend to automatically be blended into the Pacific surroundings. So we get mistaken for Samoans, get mistaken for Tongans, Cook Islanders, because whenever we say Rotuma, they say, oh, is that in Rarotonga or something? Or Maoris. So we get mistaken for a lot of things, and when you say Rotuma, you'll have to go into a whole splurge about explaining where we're from and stuff. So that would be like one of the experiences of being Rotuman. But it's still a privilege to get to that point where you realize that you have to do something about your culture. And that's what it's like, being on the having to be actively preserving your culture, because no one else will do it for you.